Okay. Hodl, 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 save, 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 build a, build a, build a, sound money. Am I on? All right, guys, I'm here. All right, this is Ugly Old Goat. I want to just welcome you if you're new. This is absolutely a free show and it's open to the public, and you can ask me anything. Uh, I love doing it. I love teaching the little bit that I know. I'm going to try and cover some basic things. We do have this promotion going on where my service is being offered at half price. But for 95, 99% of you, you don't need uh, my service. Okay. It just, you don't need it until you have a hodl. And we do the way I teach is I do this little thing. I go hodl, 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 save, 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 build a, build a, build a, sound money. And that's a very simple thing that you can keep in your head. And it's a teaching mechanism that you need to just learn. And it takes, if you're just starting out, the only thing you need to do is hollow, hollow, hollow. That's what's kind of cool about it. And I want to tell you a story because it will illustrate how difficult it is to hollow. Hollowing is not easy, it's hard. And uh, one of the best examples that I have, it just happened in our family, is I have my brother-in-law who's really I love dearly. He's a real hardworking guy. He's got I don't know six sons, 6 or 7, I mean, maybe 7 sons. Um, and he's works construction, which I did as a youngster. My family, my mother's side of the family, comes from a history of contractors, and my grandfather was a bricklayer and went. Basically went broke during the depression, but he was so well respected that all he put people contracted him for bricklaying, and then from there he bought a truck, and from there he built a contracting business. He was always a big union supporter and always ran a union shop. Uh, so that's kind of my background on my mother's side of the family. So I have a big heart. I understand construction, that the amount, I mean, one of the hard, not the hardest job, but one of the hardest jobs that I've ever done is when you're pouring concrete and moving concrete. And it's very heavy. Uh, but first you have to dig the ditch, and you have to grade the ditch, and then you build the form, and then you pour the foundation. And there's and then you've got to get the shovel out and move that concrete around. It's dirty work, it's hard work, but at the end of the day, you can see what you've done. It's very rewarding. And a lot of people, are in construction, and they're very hardworking people, and and I respect that. And but there was a time, and I don't know how long ago it was, but I just know that I tried to introduce my brother-in-law to Bitcoin. He's a great worker, but he just does not have a business head. Now, hopefully, he's going to learn, and I think he learned a big lesson here lately. And we knew that we gave him some Bitcoin, and we knew that it should have appreciated. And he was in various business deals, and so his sister, they're very close because they're just the two of them, and my wife is probably closer to her brother than she is me, at least emotionally. And it's just and you should be your brother or sister is actually your closest blood relative, closer than a parent. And oh, thank you for the coffee. So, guys, uh, but basically, she had got into a business arrangement, and so with him, and so she's kind of secured the deal. Well, you have that Bitcoin, and you can pay me back, because that Bitcoin, we don't know what it was worth, or we don't even remember what it was. Meanwhile, he had lost, and he kept it on an exchange, and lost his cell phone, and got back and, oh yeah, he thought he still had it and everything. And so I think it was yesterday or day before, they spent 3 or 4 hours sitting right down here in this office and had to figure out how to log into that account and see, to access that Bitcoin. Because now it was time, he was going to sell some to pay off his debt. And we go in to the account and it's gone. And he goes, oh, I forgot. I had a flat tire and I sold the Bitcoin to pay for the flat tire. Well, that flat tire cost him about $5,000 because that's what the Bitcoin is worth now. And a daily life makes hodling hard, but you have to do it. And so there is that's why we teach that you hodl. Now I'm going to go into the more advanced things because you can't just hodl. If you just hodl, you're really just saving for your children. And in the meantime, you have a life to live. You have things that you need and want, and I don't know that it's wise to pass off large inheritance to children. Maybe occasionally it is, but for the most part, I don't think it does any good at all. In fact, I've seen time after time where it's actually very harmful. So what I'm trying to just point out by this is that hodling is hard. You have to hodl if you're going to be a success in sound money and a success in Bitcoin. And yet there is another side of the token. There's people out there say, well, just hodl, and you just hodl, which makes absolutely no sense because someday you have to sell. It may not be you, it might be your children. But the one thing about it is Bitcoin, there's this argument that goes on. It's kind of irrelevant. It's been always irrelevant to me, but Bitcoin's a store of value. No, Bitcoin's, cash. It's neither a store of value and it's not cash. It is a lousy store of value because it's very volatile and it sucks as cash. What it is, it's a worthy speculation. And you have to view it as that because it's the only proper way that you can. It's not cash and it's not a store of value. It is over the long run, but Bitcoin is not Bitcoin's, the bullish case for Bitcoin is not just Bitcoin. Bitcoin is truly an innovation. It's the only innovation out there. If you say blockchain, it's Bitcoin. There's nothing else. There's not, all the other alternatives are not Bitcoin. I'm not going to go into all of that. There's some things as you're starting out, you just have to take as a matter of faith. And that is one that you're going to have to trust me and trust others that we're not misleading you. And we're not saying that it's fail safe. It's not guaranteed to succeed, but it's the only one that has a possibility to. But once you get that down, it's not worthy of being a store of value. It is a great speculation that's paid off handsomely for those that hodl. And it's lousy cash. Anybody that spent Bitcoin, now we're going to go into that later. I spend it all the time, but I make my living trading Bitcoin. I still have another business. I make my living other ways too, but for the most part now, I've let my other business go to the side, and I do make my living trading. I also, I'll get into all of this, but I just want to start out with hodl. If you're watching me for the first time, or if you're getting into Bitcoin for the first time, get that down. You go to our website, and that is uglyoldgoat.com, and I'll take you through it here briefly. Eddie, I just hit share screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, hold on.
Always, guys, I'm really not technically professional.
Someone's about to join, so let's admit them
Okay.
first.
Okay, admit them first. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Hold on. So what you do is you go
Oh,
here,
Hank, all right.
and then you wanted to share the website, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you go here.
Just go to home. Yeah. Oops.
Oops, no.
Newsletter.
There you go, and then you go
Go.
blog.
How to go?
Okay, so you
Just
go.
go to the main page. Can you get to the main page? Probably just have to hit ugly old goat again. So the main page is showing up. No, I don't want that.
Okay,
I want them to see what they do when they go to the main page. Just
okay,
go
here
there.
we go.
Yeah.
I think
Just
here
go
this
there.
is.
Because I want to get
Okay, there you go.
All
Okay,
right.
boom.
So,
Okay,
okay.
So
Just share that screen.
okay, and you go here.
And let's welcome Hank on first, and then I'll go on.
There you go.
All right. Where do I get Hank?
He's
Okay.
right there.
Is he muted or just?
He can unmute.
Oh, he can unmute.
Yeah.
Okay, Hank, do you want to say hello, or you want me just to ramble on? I guess I'll ramble on. So let me, because I'm starting out, I'm assuming that there might be somebody in here that they may not be watching this live. They might tune in later, but I want to start out from the very beginning because while we're having this special, uh, most people do not need the service that I sell. We hopefully someday that you will, but we want to teach you, how to proceed just one step at a time. So if you go to my website, the very first lead article is how to achieve the same results of a professional Bitcoin trader without taking the inherent risks. And we will go and we'll go, oh, you can read more. That's all you got to do. And it will take you to our articles. Now, there are all kinds of articles in here that I've written over the years. I started this in April of 2017, I believe. I started writing for Medium. And I kind of end this backwards because I actually did it through Medium articles and kind of became known through that. But I've been a successful trader. I got into Bitcoin in 2013, and I just see people making the same mistakes over and over again. And so I wanted to emphasize that you don't have to be worried what's the price going to do. How do I get into Bitcoin? That you just have to assume the fundamentals that Bitcoin is sound money, and it will provide for you over time. So what we do is we recommend dollar cost averaging, and this is I started this, and basically this is what I've done is over time I just accumulate Bitcoin. When I was in I discovered in 2013 I was already collecting Social Security then, and I just put I had separate business, and I just started accumulating Bitcoin, and with just half of my Social Security, which is $500 a month, you can see the results. And I did that. We actually started from the peaks, so doing that uh, through a disciplined savings program, $42,000 that you purchase Bitcoin on a monthly basis has now yielded, because of the last price spike, over $1 million. And so your HODL now is worth over $1 million. Now, if you started later, you're going to have a different result. But we started again at this peak here, which was 2017, when we went over $20,000 for the first time. Now, had you started hodling at that time, you would have spent, I have a problem reading that, but yeah, $18,500, and your hodl would now be worth $48,000. Now, it's a little bit hard because as we inflate here, the dollar is going to become more and more meaningless. And so more and more, as you go more and more into Bitcoin, you're going to be thinking more and more in terms of Bitcoin one way or another. But what this is it's just a different way of thinking and a different way of doing things. And it's not a get rich quick scheme, which I'm going to have to go into that too. I want you guys to ask me questions. I was one guy that asked me uh, uh, two questions I'm going to address that were actually asked to me on Twitter. And one of them is, should I be uh, uh, hodling by having funds? I don't know how he phrased it. He wanted to be leveraged to some degree on the exchanges. And my answer is no, you don't want to be trading at all until you have a hodl. Okay, that's number one. So you're not qualified really to go into more advanced Bitcoin strategies until you have that hodl and you understand why. Once you have that hodl, then the way we call it is be your own bank. And if you're going to be your own bank, you need to start thinking like a banker, and we need to be responsible. And we've really forgotten what sound commercial banking is. So that's something that needs to be relearned and rediscovered. I don't claim to have all the answers. I'm on a discovery path with everyone else. I have my own biases. I have my own philosophy on it. I may or may not be correct. I think we can determine truth uh, by using logic and the correct premises. So, and it doesn't mean that we're not going to make mistakes along the way. But, one of the principles that I've learned is you don't need to trade Bitcoin at all until you have your hodl. And then you need to learn hedging strategies. You need to, I know probably many of you have heard about Michael Saylor, who is has a major corporation, and now he's put his treasury, his working capital into Bitcoin. And he says, yeah, I'm buying this and I'm not selling it. What he's not telling anyone, and I don't think it's deliberate or anything deceitful, is it doesn't mean he's not going to be using it, because because of Bitcoin's increasing value, it can now be used as collateral for other strategies. And this is how it's going to be increasingly used. And so we need to figure out those things. And we will over time, and those things will change. What works today may not work tomorrow. But hodling is a good thing because you're in something that has a very limited supply to the best that we know. And to some degree, I have to take this on faith, just like I would take somebody that manages a nuclear reactor in faith that they know what they're doing, or a guy that's sending a rocket to the moon, that they've made the correct calculations. Uh, and so that there is a degree of faith in there that Bitcoin is not going to, is secure, and the number that
someone that's in there.
Yeah, and the number of Bitcoin that are out there simply are not going to be
Oh, say so. I
increased. So the key that I teach is, guys, you don't want to trade more than 5% of your hodl. Once you're comfortable with your hodl, yes, you can trade it, and you can do so very successfully. I've done it every year since I've been in Bitcoin. In 2017, I was in the top 10 notational traders in BitMex. And then in 2018, for the first 3 months, I just couldn't trade worth of crap. I didn't lose anything, but I wasn't making anything. And so that's when I started writing these Medium articles. And then in the fall of that year, I said, you know what? I'm going to show people how it's done. And I opened a BitMex account up with 2 Bitcoin and started publishing my trades on Medium. And within about the fall of that year, I caught the down move and turned 2 Bitcoin into 22 Bitcoin. And at that time, then we developed the website. I said, well, you know what? I'm going to take 10 Bitcoin and invest in a website so I can teach others, how this is done. And so we did that, and I actually sold lifetime memberships for a one-time price, and that they're the core of. I don't make anything from Ugly Old Goat. It's purely something I love doing, and it's from my heart. And a lot of the guys that Zazo's up here, he I got to have him on because he will teach you about trading. But basically, I want to answer the guy on Twitter, the answer that I provided him, and that is you only trade 5% of your hodl. If you lose that, okay, it's not going to hurt you. And the mistake that people make is that they start trading more. And what you do is you trade again. You don't trade more, you trade less. And that's a tough thing to learn. And when you learn, and that's what I did then the following year. In 2019, I took 2 Bitcoin and I ran it into 32 Bitcoin. In 2018, and then 2019, I took 0.6 Bitcoin. And I was very fortunate this year. I took out 47 Bitcoin. Now I had to add another 0.6. So I had about a $7,000 investment. Now, and guys, I don't want to create an illusion. It's all documented. You can see I took 0.6 Bitcoin. I had to add another 0.6. I took out 47 Bitcoin. Now that looks like I went from 2 Bitcoin to 47 Bitcoin. That looks, oh, wow, that's $1.5 million. Now it's over $1.5 million now. True, if that's in Bitcoin. But I make my living trading, guys. Through that whole cycle, I was also selling. My hodling didn't increase hardly at all because I'm living off of what I do. My income, I had somebody called me out and they said, well, how did you get a COVID check? Ugly. You don't qualify. And I went through and read the regulations. Said, you're right. I paid taxes, but my taxes were under the limit. I think it was 150,000 or something like that. And so I pay my taxes, guys. Now, because I ran 2 Bitcoin into 32 Bitcoin doesn't mean I have 32 Bitcoin today. It doesn't mean that at all, because all the way through I had to live. I sold Bitcoin as I was making all the way to pay bills, to run this business and other things. And so I don't want to create an illusion that, oh, ugly old goat, he makes these millions. It doesn't quite work that way. And I don't know. And that's why I don't want to be misrepresenting it all in here, if that's what you think I've done. Because I was kind of mystified. Why would I get this check? And then I read the rules. Oh, there is an income limit. So apparently we were under that income limit. And, this year I'm going to be paying more taxes than I did last year. But that because I ran, $7,000 into 1.4 million, or rather, a little over 1.2 Bitcoin into 47 Bitcoin, that doesn't mean that, I made $1,400,000 this year. I made that much in Bitcoin trading. But you got to learn that there's a lot more to this than just these. My foundation comes from my hodl. My hodl really doesn't change that much. Does that make any sense? Zezo, we got Tone on here, but I'm going to hear from you because Zezo, I really respect Zezo. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Zezo because he's such a brave guy. He lost his hodl, and there's other people that are just sick this year because they blew out of this market. And Tone and I know people that have it. Now I kind of almost weep for them because I went through it, guys. I know what you're going through. And Zezo knows what you're going through. And so it's a lot more to this. And, this is easy money, because it's not. It's hard.
Yeah, I want to say something about that as well whenever I get a chance. So Zezo, floor is yours.
Yeah, guys, I have to say that what I do recommend for you don't get in the trap that I did, the most important thing that I learned from Ugly and Tone, unfortunately, I learned a little bit late, is money management. Tone has one of the best videos you can watch. And unfortunately, it's the webinar he has that people watch the last. Everybody wants to learn how to make money, but nobody wants to learn how to save money. And that is something that I wish I had. It's always like it is. The mistake at the moment sounds so small that you don't think that that's going to ruin it. And it just scales. It's just a snowball. You begin really small, and if you don't act fast, you're always going to be like, no, you're going to go back. You're going to go back. I'm going to go out for this situation. And you're not. And during that time, you're destroyed mentally, especially when you see everybody making money but you.
Well, you think everybody's making that. You know,
Exactly. You're the few people that are honest to say how much lost Tom told, or how much he lost so many times. But it is, I hope people could take much more serious money management first. Learn this first, and then you try to trade.
Yeah, and it's hard to learn. Good point. Once you hit a lick or two, you think you get a God complex. You get that old King Kong complex, and it's tough to shake it. And then when that King Kong bites you, you've got an alligator chasing you that you're trying to cover. Tell us what, Tone, you are. I've learned so much about Bitcoin from you, and the first thing I did was tell people, some of these things you have to take on faith, and I do not understand the back end of Bitcoin. You've taught me the fundamentals.
Guys, I have to say bye. I'm going to the hospital now to make a test.
Okay.
I have to leave now.
It's the flu, guys. I got COVID. I go up the steps, I get a little winded. It's one of the most mild flus I've ever had. So.
No, I have to be able to travel now.
Good luck on the test. Good luck on the test. I hope you pass.
Hope you study.
Hope you study.
Take care, guys. Have a nice show.
Later, Cesar.
Later, Cesar. Hey guys, I just want to comment. Like Joe, you look like a mob boss, man. You have like a girl on your right. You got a bodyguard with a looks like a cat, but it's a dog on your other side.
It looks like he's on the steps of the county jail too.
Hey Patrick, I didn't know you were in town. I thought you were still out in Cali.
Who, me? Oh yeah. So I've been driving cross country for the last 9 days now. I stayed in Vegas for 2 nights. I stayed in Colorado, hung out with a bunch of Bitcoiners for New Year's Eve, 5 nights, including Katie and a few other people. And I was in Kansas City for 1 night. I hung out with a buddy of mine that I hadn't seen since college in 20 years. We had some Kansas City barbecue. And then I slept at a rest area 1 night somewhere in Ohio, and then now I'm in Joe's place, which I stayed last night. So tonight I'm going back home to New Hampshire. But if you're in the area, we could meet up. I don't know if you're in New York or not, but if you're around,
you can see where I use the backgrounds to indicate where I am.
Oh shit! So you're south of me, so I'm going to be heading north. So unfortunately, we'll miss each other, but I'll catch you some other time.
Dude, why didn't you time it to come through DC for the rally?
I don't know. I don't know if I want to go to a rally and get hit with a tear gas canister or something. I'm not so sure.
Hey, I gotta. Damn, too bad Zazo had to go. Hey, Ugly, are you recording this? Do you post this somewhere later?
Yeah, this is actually a public event. So this will be public event on our website. So anybody can have access.
Is this gonna go up to? Is this gonna go to YouTube?
It is on YouTube. It's on Zoom.
Yeah, we're streaming right now too.
Yeah,
you are streaming right now. Okay, let me see how many are watching, and I want to push this out to my group. I'm not gonna.
Meantime, I want to welcome Will, because I don't know you, Will, but you must be a member, and you're the one I'm looking at. It looks like you're in jail right now, sitting on the steps of the pier. You must be a member. You're the one I'm looking at. It looks like you're in the jail right now. Oh, we got a little feedback there, guys.
Yeah, from him, probably.
Can you speak? Do you have? Are you muted there? Okay, we'll try it again. Or at any rate, well, oh, there he is.
Hey, what's up, Ogie? Sorry, I'm gonna shop right now and a lot of noise.
Okay. Yeah,
It wasn't
well,
Will, it was us. It was on our end. So
It was us.
It was
Yeah, my
us. So
bad.
sorry about that.
all right. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Well, and
I'm a trader. I've been following you since like 2019. We met on Confiscatable at Tone's event,
okay.
and I was in Colombia where I met Juan Galt, and I was doing the Bitcoin meetups down there, and I was just following your trades, learning from you, trying to make $1 million a year.
All right, so you're a witness. It's for real. Okay. And yeah, I took a challenge when I did this. I didn't, yeah, but I said, you know what, I got to do it because I knew I could. And it did work out. So, I mean, everybody can see it can be done, but I don't think people really realize what it means or how difficult it is. Trading is not easy. And yet there's no reason that you should ever get ruined trading. It's a huge opportunity, and you can do it. And it's not rocket science. You know, I don't have you know, a scholarly background. I'm a self-taught economist. I did. I was just honored in the early part of my life that I had, you know, top economists coming to me because I was studying them. And you know, so I feel like this is my moment. I don't know what it's for, but you know, just if I can guide you guys through it, because I'm not going to be going through the next 40 years, and you guys are, and it's going to be rough. I don't see any way in the world it's not going to be rough, and you're going to need each other, and you're going to have to learn to do this right. And my mentor was E.C. Harwood. And, you know, when I made a gold coin with him on it, he founded the American Institute for Economic Research. But when I made a gold coin, I said, Colonel Harwood, you know, if I put this coin out with sound commercial banking, what should be on the reverse side? And he thought about it for about 10 seconds was all I said. For integrity, there is no substitute. And so it's more than just Bitcoin. It's also us. And and you're going to fall short of that ideal, but it's nothing that you still doesn't mean we hold that ideal up there as being that's where we want to go. And we're going to make lots of mistakes along the way. But I don't want to fool people into thinking there's no magic to this. There's no magic beans. There's no, you know, and I teach that all the way through. One of the best lessons is the one-page lesson that Tone found, and it was from J. Wells Wilder, who I know I bought all of his books and studied them, but you found that one page where he said, but the most important thing, and he listed at number 3, was money management. But then at the end, but then you're going to find a new system, and he went right back into, you know, the rabbit hole of, you know, infinite technical analysis. So the emphasis has to be, and that's fine, guys. People got me I say throw away your charts, because if you're deep in the TA only, you need to throw away those charts, because TA's going to kill you. You're going to lose. You got to have that money management, and you have to have that discipline. Say, you know what? If you just lost 5% of your hodl trading, you don't increase your trading, you reduce it. And that's a rough principle to learn, but you got to do it, and that is, you know, that is going to keep you from ruin. It's not, and I don't know else how to teach it. And, you know, and hodling is hard. Hodling is so hard, and time again, we see that. I mean, how many people that I know of, they say, I sold my Bitcoin, and what do I do now? I said, well, you didn't come to me when when you sold it. Now you went to me, you know, after you sold it. I can't help it. I gave you the best advice I can, you know. So, Tone, bail me out here.
Yeah, one second. I'm setting up my stream to go live in 20 minutes.
Okay.
Let me just set that up, and then I'm going to say a few words. So I'll look, every single trader learns money management the hard way. Like, we all learn the hard way. When I first started trading, I blew my first $50,000 trading account. And maybe not 50. The first one I blew wasn't 50. I think it was like maybe 20,000. And that was pretty much all the money I had. And I lost all that money because I kept shorting the real estate and the home builders and housing market. And I started shorting it in 2016. And within 1 year, I ran out of money shorting real estate. And I went and got a job at Bear Stearns, which a year later collapsed due to the falling real estate market. So it's I had my TA perfect. I had my fundamental analysis perfect, but I had terrible money management and I mistimed the market and I ran out of money.
Right. Oh, incidentally, you're going to lose. I took a little hit in my equity here over the holidays because not because I mean, I rode the bull market perfectly in Bitcoin. My problem was I sold Ethereum. I love selling Ethereum.
Hey, everyone, we gotta go.
And they taught me a lesson. Okay, we have a beautiful face on here now. So share us a little bit with who you are here. So you were on yesterday, and you
Yeah,
are,
I'm back.
Joe's
Well,
cousin.
we have to leave
You
real
can
quick.
say hi for a minute.
Oh,
if
okay.
you want.
Well, yes, I'm back. I'm still with Joe, so it's been good. Having a good time, learning a lot as always. But
All right. Well,
we gotta
yeah.
hop off.
The
She-
rest of
she's
us are very
actually-
cool to look at.
She's actually got to pop into another stream, like with crypto finally. So we got to get her set up for that right now.
Yeah,
But yeah. After that, if it's a short stream, we'll pop back in or something.
it's usually really short. But
And that's
Thanks for
Whitney in
having
the background in case anybody needs to know.
all right.
Nice scarf,
Hello,
ugly.
Whitney.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Okay. Well, so you're a member. I mean, give us your thoughts. When did you become a member and start looking at? I hope you haven't followed my trades. I hope you learned to try. How's been your trading experience?
No, I didn't follow you the last few weeks, and I've been excellent. Actually, I'm right now. We're building, so we just bought a new body shop here in Miami, and how to build and trade.
There you go. And for guys that don't know, that are tuning in for the first time, that's what I teach. You know what? Whatever you do the very best at it. Be an entrepreneur. You want, as your wealth grows through Bitcoin, you want to reward yourself. Nothing else. Update your laptop, take your wife out to dinner, or something like that, and then you can build on Bitcoin. But most of us, 99% of us, are going to be pursuing other things. And Bitcoin is just going to be a standard by which we measure those things. And so you don't have to go down the rabbit hole as deeply as I've gone down, or certainly not as deeply as Tone goes down. He's at a whole another level than I am. You don't have to. You don't have to. That's what the cool thing about the Bitcoin standard is. And that's what we're going to be learning, together, in the years ahead. And, it's going to be, we got to kind of watch each other's back as we go along too. I think that's going to be more and more critical as we move in. Is this somebody else trying to log in, Eddie?
Yeah, I think so.
How do I invite? Just what?
I'm actually talking to Juan, so.
Okay, there's a Eddie Lynn that is trying to get in.
Also, did Will go out? So it's just us two.
Oh, he's in.
Okay.
Okay. So, so here's what I want to say, and maybe I can record this, and we could. I really should throw on a shirt. Like I'm literally just from the gym, and This is going to be the year of working out again. I can't take this COVID anymore. Ugly, I'll probably end up, I need to, like, Mexico and Brazil are the only two sane countries I believe are left, and we'll see how long Brazil can hold out.
Oh, we actually might. Ernesto has a gym that's empty here. So I said, well, you know what? We'll form a private club. So we're all going to start working out at the gym, our exclusive gym.
Look, there's if I'm going to be coming on your streams, honestly, I'm going to be like a broken record. I just want to warn people of one and only one thing. Maybe I should record this and then my team can make like a 2-minute video out of it, but it'll be on your YouTube channel. Look, guys, we have people watching. This is being live streamed on YouTube. Last I saw, there was like 60 or so viewers. Let me just double check again real quick. How many live? Hopefully it's over 100. We got 75 watching right now. I'm going to say hi in there. Hey, guys. Look, a lot of people are signing up for your newsletter and your trades, Ugly. But what I want to warn people on is if you're going to be following another trader, you're reading how Ugly turned 2 Bitcoin into 32 or 34, and then you turned 0.6 into like 47. But here's what you guys have to realize. When Ugly starts his account at 2 Bitcoin, you may not have 2 Bitcoin. Or you may have 2 Bitcoin, but you're smart enough not to put all of your Bitcoin into a trading account. So my advice is on my videos is you should only trade with 10% of your HODL, no more than 10% of your HODL. Consider your HODL as your liquid net worth. How much money do you have in the bank? Let's say you own a house and then you have $30,000 in the bank. How much of that $30 are you going to bring with you to a casino for a weekend of fun? That's approximately how much money you should put into the crypto trading casino. So if you have only 2 Bitcoin to your name, maybe you should start with 0.2 Bitcoin because that's 10%. And that's how you're going to trade. So if Ugly starts with 2 Bitcoin, now Ugly is a very experienced trader. He may not need to only trade with 10%. Like now, because otherwise we're assuming that Ugly has 200 Bitcoin, which he may not. He may have more. He probably has less. Few people have a stack of over 3-digit Bitcoins. But Ugly is very confident in his risk management. And for someone like Ugly, he can probably go more than 10% of his HODL because of his experience. But you shouldn't. And if Ugly starts with 2 Bitcoin, you should start with 0.2 Bitcoin if you only have 2 Bitcoin. That's 10%. Now, if you follow Ugly on every single thing that he does, exactly like Ugly does, and he turns 2 Bitcoin into 34, we can assume that you have just turned your 0.2 Bitcoin into 3.4 Bitcoin. But what does Ugly do next? Ugly decides to become a small trader again because he knows he's pushing his luck at this point.
COVID. Oops.
My bad. Don't ever do that in public. Don't ever sneeze in public. You could be put into a concentration camp, as what New York State is trying to do, which is why I'm probably never going back, like ever. Like my apartment there can like start growing weeds in it. Like I don't know if I ever want to go back. It's insane. But anyway, so you have just turned your 0.2 Bitcoin into 3.4. But then you're watching Ugly withdraw 30 Bitcoin from that stack. But you are now in a different state of mind. You are now so happy that you turn 0.2 Bitcoin into 3.4 Bitcoin. And you think Ugly will never, ever, ever in his life make a mistake. And when Ugly turns 32 Bitcoin back into 2 Bitcoin, you decide to keep rolling the dice. There is a high probability, an insanely high probability, you will not reduce your equity like Ugly did. You may be smart, and you may reduce your 3.4 Bitcoin into 1 Bitcoin. And now Ugly goes back to 2 Bitcoin. You go back to 1 Bitcoin, which is okay. And then the next time this happens, Ugly, you should go to 2 Bitcoin as Ugly goes to 2 Bitcoin. But here's what's more likely to happen. You will keep rolling the dice on 3.4 because here's how your brain's going to work. If Ugly just did turn 2 Bitcoin into 32 or 34, I'm going to stay with my 3.4, 3.5 Bitcoin. Ugly goes back to 2 Bitcoin. Ugly's going to turn his 2 Bitcoin into another 30 Bitcoin. But because I'm starting with 3.5, as Ugly only makes 30 Bitcoin from his 2, I'm going to make 45 Bitcoin from my 3.5. And what is more likely to happen is that eventually some black swan event occurs and Ugly will lose. Ugly will turn that 2 Bitcoin into 3 or 4, and then a catastrophic event wipes him out back to 0. But Ugly had withdrawn 30 plus Bitcoin. He can just start again with 2 and roll that into 50. But you just lost everything. And now you are in trouble. And Ugly is making money. And this is where it's so important not to keep rolling the dice. So this is where it's important to withdraw and go back to being a small trader. And a lot of people don't realize that. If you're going to start at 0.2 Bitcoin, as Ugly starts at 2, the next time Ugly scales back to being a small trader, you don't have to go back to 0.2, but you need to go back. You can go back to 0.4, you can go back to 0.5, but do not go from 0.2 on round 1 to 2 on round 2. You will need at least 2 to 3 rounds, maybe 4 or 5 rounds before you guys are on equal footing, okay? Because you're still following another trader. And consider yourself lucky you came out as a winner following another trader, because 90% of traders that follow other traders lose everything and even faster than doing it yourself.
I'm going to add to that. I say 5%. But the other thing too, if you notice, that 2 that I started with, that was in the fall of 2018. And then I duplicated in the fall of February of 2019, I started with 2. But the beginning of 2019, I started with 0.6, and I actually lost it all and had to put in another 0.6. But in dollar amounts, they were about the same. In both instances, it was a little over $7,000. Now this year, I just took a hit. I just had a nice little downturn in my equity. I have a little over 0.3 in my account. I decided I can't believe it, Tone. 0.3 Bitcoin is $10,000. In dollar terms, I'm starting out with more than I did in 2019 or the fall of 2018. And yet I've only got 0.3 Bitcoin in the account. Guys, the dynamics of the market and structure of the market has changed radically. And it's I'll be very surprised if I can come even close, to what I did this last year. But I've decided I was going to try and teach hedging strategies, but then I said, you know what, this is almost perfect. So I'm just going to start and go again and see what happens. I don't even need to trade, guys. I'm doing this because I really do want to teach, and there's a lot of things that we just need to work on in the years ahead. And one of the most important things is, we want to preserve our capital, and the capital that we have is going to be in Bitcoin. And so we need to guard that hodl. You got to guard that hodl. And if you're new and listening to me, all my content's there. It's all free. 99% of you don't need my subscription. It's expensive, and I have it there for a reason, because the guys that subscribe, they're actually allowing me to give you all this free content. They're paying for the back end of this, and everything that we make here I'm going to putting back into developing, what we're and hopefully bringing some of these youngsters along with me on it. Because, I mean, the ball's in your court. I mean, that if we are going to be our own banks, we got to learn to be bankers, and we don't really know how to do that yet. We're going to be learning. We're on this Star Trek adventure, and to this month, we just hit new uncharted waters in Bitcoin. And that's going to make it more difficult than ever. It's going to, Bitcoin, there's going to be a little sense in the world, but Bitcoin will give us a little bit of sanity and at least a little hard ground to stand on. That's the way I view it. So I'm pretty well, we'll see what I can do with 0.3 Bitcoin. And don't know if I can do it again or not, but we'll try. And if you don't need to trade till you have your hodl, guys. You don't need my service. Go. Welcome to Bitcoin. Hodl. Okay, it's gonna work out for you in the long run as you get your rewards. And build your whatever business you're in, whatever profession you're in. Become the very best at it. And I know people that, Victor, who's written one of our equity app, I always thought he wanted to be an entrepreneur. And we sat down and shared a little tequila. He loves his job. He loves the family. He has no intention of giving up his job because he loves it. He loves the family he works for. He's got a huge responsible job. Hey, we're all different. That's what makes the world go round. We're not all the same, thank goodness.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, Ugly. I agree. All right, I need to get going. I need to start my own stream, which I set up to start in 2 minutes. And unfortunately, we're going to overlap. But
we can cut this out too and make I have guys now that can do that. So we can take this and cut out.
Yeah, we're improving.
Yeah, we're improving this shit. We're getting better and better one step at a time.
Yeah, your camera is great. What are you using for your video?
It's actually a Sony camera, and then we actually bought a lens, Tone. So it's kind of like a 2-in-1, So we actually had to buy the lens.
Because I have like an $800 Sony camera that I use in my work studio.
We bought like a Ugly fell back when he saw the price. So
yeah, we like I say, yeah, we spend my profits on trading. We have spent on investing. We want to do professional.
I'll
videos.
send you the links.
These guys want to travel the world, so
honestly, it's crazy how much money I spend on audio and video. And the audio video sound Nazis that are watching are never happy. Like I upgrade my mic every year. My latest mic is $250. I upgrade my cameras and webcams all the time, and they're all terrible. I probably spent upwards of $5,000 on audio video equipment over the last 3 years, and everything just sucks. What the fuck?
Yeah, this time we bought lights. You can't see the lights probably, but we bought lights, new mics, and then we bought a split camera for the other set, and then these cameras, and then we only bought one lens because one of the lenses was like $1,800 just the lens.
Juan, he's doing something with this virtual reality machine. My daughter's down here playing with it all the time. I have no clue what these guys are doing. I said, I just buy these toys and I say, guys, here's an opportunity to jump on it and make it work.
We'll send Tone the links to what we bought.
Don't let him get to you, Tone. You have your quality is great. You have the best quality. It's excellent. Don't just ignore the haters. But real talk, a lot of it is lighting. This Neto came in and his lighting setup is Hollywood grade.
My problem is I don't have a single place that I live in, and that makes it more complicated. And I keep telling people, I'm like, why don't you come on the road at your own expense and be my audio video intern? That's my answer to these people. What the hell? Anyway, I can't afford to have a sound and a video engineer traveling with me. I don't make that much money.
You don't need it, man.
Anyway,
Well,
hey guys,
no, I'm in one spot and can barely afford it.
Oh, but Ugly, no, your video is incredible. Unfortunately, Zoom can't stream high def into YouTube, so you'd have to use OBS, which is another nightmare altogether.
We're gonna try next. OBS, yeah.
Yeah, I got guys working on this. We all have a vision. They actually have a vision of going around the world and traveling, and people will want to hire them. I said, look.
Hey, hey. So, Ugly's assistants, Juan, when you're learning OBS, let me know A, how much tequila you had to drink to stay sane, and B, how much high-end equipment you threw against the wall in your pursuit to get OBS working, because it's a freaking nightmare.
I don't even know what OBS is.
We'll get it done.
I've played with it already. Yeah, it's complicated.
They run over, they flip my machine.
There's a streamlined version of it that's easier to use, but.
Dude, OBS is a nightmare. You need like four people that are experts to run OBS. It's a freaking nightmare. Anyway, guys, all right, have fun. I'm gonna jump on my stream and go for it later.
Thanks for tuning in, Tony. Wasn't expecting it. You always just surprise us, but we really appreciate it when you do. So
later, guys.
We're just
thanks for coming on.
All right, bye. We'll see you. Hello, Juan. That was a pleasant surprise.
We have more people on.
Hey, how's it going?
Please tell me, what is OBS anyway?
It's a streaming platform. It's a streaming platform. Different.
It's a piece of software. It's a piece of software designed to manage video streaming and all that stuff. I know how to use it. I've used it before. There's a version of it that's less complicated that I've used, and we can make it happen. But yeah, somebody has to be there pushing the buttons. Like it's not easy to use, but it is gonna stream with higher quality. So maybe we should talk about that.
Yeah. Okay, does Ernesto know about
it? Yeah, that's actually he suggested that.
Oh, okay, Ernesto's on that.
Yeah, Ernesto's on that.
Okay,
so
he's on it.
Yeah.
Guys, I can't. I'm very limited in what I know.
He needs help.
I mean, they gotta watch. It happens more and more. My fingers aren't working and all this, but
it sucks getting old. Bro.
It sucks getting old. My mind still works half the time. And I can take naps and still comprehend what you're saying. I mean, I learned that ability.
Like that show on Tone, falling asleep.
That was funny because they tuned me. So if I fall asleep here, guys, I still listen. I got a little button in there that it still registers to some degree. So at any rate. So we got 2 new visitors here too. We got Steve and Greg. Greg, I have a cousin by the name of Greg. Welcome, guys. Can they talk?
Yeah, let me see if I can unmute them.
Oh, okay.
Introduce themselves.
Yeah, are you guys on? Can you hear us well? Do some mic check. Okay, we lost one. Greg, how's it going?
Good, my thing's off though.
There he is.
We can't hear you, Greg.
We can
there we
hear
go. You're on.
We can hear you. You don't have to show your face.
Oh, it don't matter. I'm new to the whole scene.
All right. How long you been a member?
I think I joined with you guys back in November. Okay. Right, the trail of the build-up.
Okay, the trail of the this last November of 2019.
Yeah, 2020.
Or 2020. I'm sorry. What year were we in? 2020. Wow. So you're really you got the renewable subscription, so we're gonna have to really work to get you to stay with us. That's one of the challenges I was making. When I started, it was just a whim. We didn't know if we'd do it, and then we knew we didn't have the right business model. So really now the challenge is going to be we have to put enough value in his and basically most of it's free anyway for people that don't subscribe. We want to keep that available for people. But the actual memberships and to get my actual record of trading and the equity app and the Telegram group, that's what you get. And it's if you don't have a hodl, you don't need it. You really don't. But tell us you must have somewhat of a hodl, Greg, because I'm not cheap and you're a member. So what's your Bitcoin experience?
I got into Bitcoin. I understood about it in late 18. Traded some stocks before, didn't do options, didn't do futures. Just ran a business, and I'm in my 60. So I kind of stopped being the physical side of the business and looked into some trading to supplement my income and take advantage of the growth of some sectors of our economy.
What kind of business are you in? What do you do?
I was a building contractor for a while, and then I did a lot of insurance insurance claim work where I travel around the country and assess damage privately for business owners. So I'd represent the owner against the insurance company.
Oh, wow.
And that's where I got to see quite a bit of corruption. I got paid a percentage of the settlement. So I was like a specialized attorney without going to law school, so to speak.
Wow. Are you an attorney then too? You are an attorney?
No, it was just I was doing that kind of work. I was, I was interpreting the insurance policy, which is a scam, kind of like the stock market, where you only get limited information, and it's hard to succeed.
Yeah, insurance is a. Oh yeah, somebody's got some feedback. It's not us. It's Greg. Okay. Yeah, you got a little feedback there, Greg. If you, I couldn't tell you how to fix it, but
no, there's that's not feedback. They're installing a boat lift in my house. I live in the Florida Keys.
Oh, okay. All right. So, at any rate, yeah, I mean, that insurance is another game. Most of insurance, you're paying for hot air.
Exactly. It's not a recoverable thing.
People don't understand that. They think they're insured and they're not. And mainly it's a legal game. You want the insurance here in Mexico so you don't go to jail. Because if you don't have insurance, you're guilty until proven innocent here. So, and Eddie can tell you about that. So there is, and then it's, it's a political deal. A lot of people, you have to be bonded. You have to
yeah.
And if you're in the construction business, you know what I'm talking about. So insurance is a lot of ways a myth, and there, I think it can be useful. You might want to have a straight what do they call it, a life insurance just for your but I used to be real familiar with all the terms, but it's very limited. You only want insurance for a risk that you cannot endure.
Exactly. Just like what you do, you hodl and you trade small to keep your exposure down by still multiplying your asset base.
Right. Exactly.
So I get what you're doing, and I fully believe it's the best philosophy. In my limited trading, I traded spot for a few years, and I lost a bunch of money, and you made a little bit of money, and you see the game's rigged, and so it's a long-term thing for most people, and then most people want to just somebody to tell them what to do, like you said.
Right.
Tell me what to buy and when to buy it, and I'll be happy. No, it don't work
that way. And that's basically what I do anyway. I say dollar cost average, but no, very, very few people. There are people that do. They listen and they've done it, and it's rewarded them tremendously. But I just told the story about my brother-in-law, and he didn't even remember that he sold his Bitcoin to fix a flat tire. That's a $5,000 flat tire. What can I say?
I got you.
Another guy who he actually built this house. We paid him in Bitcoin, and he sold out when it made it a little bit because he was going to buy it back. And I said, you didn't come to me when you wanted to say, and I told you, just hodl, just forget you have it, and it will reward you. And so now he's kicking himself, and so I get it. It's hodling is hard, man. It is hard. It is
hard if you got life expenses, but if you put it away and the dollar cost average in, or I'm trying to teach my kids that they don't have any money to spare right now because they're a young family, just had 2 kids. Right. So, but I tell them, you pay $100 a week, $100 a month, and stick it away, and it'll compound, and you'll get the bug, and it'll become a light bulb to you. And then later on, you'll be happy about it. So,
yeah, and it's hard because you have all these immediate pressing needs, and very well, if you look at all the people around in your circle of friends and family, very few. It's hard to save, and it doesn't even matter. and you lose that perspective when if you're saving in a depreciating currency, because why can I save, and so
absolutely
Bitcoin changes that. It just changes it radically, and that's it will change the way you think.
Yes, it does, and I'm already on that train. I stepped aboard. I do have there are going to be a lot of people in my same boat. I feel those of us in the United States who born and lived here. I've traveled a little bit. I used to live in LA, so I went down to Mexico a lot. I've been down there on Baja trips like you do with your razors. We took motorcycles and ran for the week down the Baja circuit and just stuff like that, which is just fun and living a full life. But my dilemma is, we're stuck with the market, we're stuck with the SEC and the banking regulators now trying to intimidate the exchanges into know your customers with their US people and monitoring their wallets or monitoring their transactions and not letting them to trade futures. All this stuff's kind of coming up really quickly. So how do I trade futures except for like a GBTC or something like that is the only choice kind of I have, unless I form a foreign corporation offshore. And then if I have an IP address that's a US based, that gets blocked by BitMex, they indicate right on their website, the front page, we'll block you if you got a US IP because we're afraid of the retaliation by the US government.
Right. I get it. And, I'm alone right now. To me, BitMex and Arthur Hayes and his whole crew, they really need our support because they don't need, I put them in the same category as Julian Assange and Snowden. And but the difference is property rather than surveillance or foreign.
Yeah, they're running a financial trading business, and it's different than our governments, misleading us and surveilling.
I expected to see FTC, but I did not because that's coming from the they're eating everybody's lunch because of their innovation. But this criminal charge is just it's terrible.
That's intimidation charge. I know how that goes. I was, not to change subject because I want to get back on this for all your rest of your viewers that are in my same boat. But I was in insurance and I made a lot of money and I took money from the largest corporations in America, Farmers, State Farm, and Lloyd's of London, and these cats, and they teamed up together and they got inside tracks on the Department of Justice. FBI came to my house. I mean, shit like that went down because I cost them too much money.
Oh yeah, people don't
understand. My
license. Oh yeah.
They even filed. Their lawyers for these corporations wrote the violation of the law for the Department of Insurance in California and yanked my ticket because I cost them $10 million in settlements. They knew that they wouldn't have paid it but for me, so they were like, "Oh, get rid of this guy and we'll save in the future." So they have no qualms about manipulating the government to their benefit, and the government's happy enough to do it. I don't contribute to the government any more than just a taxpayer, so I don't have an inside track, and neither do you. So I dodged I settled my matter with them. It cost me 50 grand to get out, but they spent 500,000 suing me, and I had to pay 50 grand, concession to settle the matter. But it was ridiculous. It's like, and I don't have a license, so it's like I see how this game works.
So what they've charged you for unauthorized practice of law or something like that?
Oh, they tried to, but not in California. Some states, yes, but mine was operating a business with a misleading business name. In other words, I had two business styles, and that's not even the Department of Insurance's matter because they were both listed. So it was just a technicality. You know how it goes.
I know. What they do is they change constitutional law into statutory law, and now all of a sudden you don't. That's why a lot of times if you're surprised you go back home and you're trespassing on your own house.
We're all criminals. We're all criminals, and under this new administration, if they end up taking hold of the cheat, we're going to be criminals even further. Gun owners and people that own Bitcoin wallets and people that walk down the street, you're doing something wrong, they can always find a crime with you. And like, so what do? you know, we're going to build up some net worth. You know, I'm going to try to enjoy my life. I may have to relocate to a foreign country, you know.
Hey, I want to invite you down here since you've been down to Mexico before. That's one thing that we're offering as all members. Just come down here. Let us know ahead of time as much. We'll probably set up a calendar. So if you can come down, just let us know a week ahead of time. We can actually put you up here if you want. You can stay at a nearby hotel.
Oh yeah, no, I know some people in Tijuana and stuff, and I've vacationed all the way down the coast. I sent my son to a rehab in there. He got involved with opiate. So I took him down to rehab out of the country because unlike America, adults can turn their children in and they'll keep them. They're adult children. You know, he was 30 years old and me as a parent, I could turn him in and they'll hold them. In America, you can't do that. It's called kidnapping.
I know, but they're changing down here in Mexico. I'll tell you some stories down here. I mean,
oh, I know it's corrupt too, and
it is U.S. influence. It's just like, you know, I don't know if you saw this bailout. They're sending, I don't know how much to Afghanistan so they can have this gender, you know, teaching the gender equality standards, which that's going to go real well. In fact,
no, it's not that. You know what it is. They just give the money and they get some back in the back door. I give you 10 million. You're going to give me 5 back. We're good. You know, it's laundering is all that shit is. It's like, it's not really helping.
Well, no, they did get their agenda through too. The abortion issue is financed through, you know, by the United States throughout the world. It's a lot of different.
It's a one world order is where we're headed. Yeah, we got it. So, but back to the question, as somebody who wants to leverage trade in America, I'm very limited, and the odds are stacked against me with the delta between the bid and the ask, and all the things you've talked about that I've been researching and studying, since joining you. You chose my eyes that, you know, if you futures trade in America, you're stacked against you before you even start.
Oh yeah, it's rough. I mean, I'm a successful trader, but the difference that, you know, you actually have the innovation that BitMex has is just far beyond anybody. But the problem is 90% of traders still lose, and so if they lose, it's never their fault. It's the exchange's fault.
Bullshit.
You know, I was in this yesterday with Robert Allen, who I love the guy and everything. He's a strong Bitcoiner. But gold hasn't gone up because it's manipulated. Well, no, it's not, because it's a big difference. You can I'm taking delivery of gold. It's a deliverable contract. I think gold's going to skyrocket now, but because you can't manipulate forever. And
no, you can short sell it. You can adjust the price for short durations to take advantage. You know, big money can push it around. The whales can push it around, but not forever. It goes where the herd goes.
I mean, yeah, OPEC, you tried it, and yeah, they could do short-term pushes, but in the end, we actually went negative. Who would have ever thought, you know? When there's a glut, that's what happens. It became more to store. It cost more to store than to own the stuff. So I can't afford the storage. Just take it
right.
off.
No, exactly. On demand is way better, and people like Elon Musk kind of see this, and I see the exponential rise of his company, and it baffles the market. They're all like, this stock is going to crash. And like, you don't even understand what he's doing. He's, on an exponential rise and brought his factories online so fast, so adaptive. And, I'm not a big fan of the green energy. I think a lot of it's hype, but there's some cats that just get it. And he's a smart cat. And I think, what he's doing with his production numbers in multiple countries, not staged in California anymore, where he started, he's adapting really quickly. And that's why I want to be like somebody who can see the future, work within the system we got. And in the United States, I'm limited to mostly the markets. I got Bitcoin, but on the exchanges now, they won't let you margin trade, or even futures trade. So I'm kind of limited, except for, like I said, about that.
Yeah, that's probably the next
grayscale.
BitMex has given us a roadmap. Say, you can form a foreign corporation, and I think when you get to a certain level, you're just going to have to do it. And it's
I don't mind. I've got funding. I can manage that. I used to travel and work all over the United States. I had licenses in 10 states. I had 6 corporations. So that's not a concern to me. I just want to do it. You know, it's owning an offshore corporation. You know, I thought about the Bahamas here because I live in Florida really close. I could actually take my boat over there and do that. But ultimately, you know, I don't want to be straddling the fence. You get splinters. You know, I may have to step on the other side, or I could form a corporation in the meantime. And, you know, being a small trailer is what I'm interested in right now. You know, I got my Bitcoin and I've got my HODL on there to get in and out. It's a little bit, you know, unsettling to keep, you know, a large amount of money as it's oscillating around. But I'd rather go small trader on leverage and limit my exposure and let the rest sit.
Yeah, and people don't understand how you know, once you learn the principles, you can take a very small amount and make it into a very large amount. But you have to have the correct thinking, and it just takes time to develop it. You think that?
No, it does. Yeah, you're right. I appreciate the money management, and I just got through the book, that trading book that you recommended. I read it on
the Art of Execution.
Yes, Art of Execution, awesome book. Just talks about what you said about.
It really is. And
you don't know the entry point.
Yeah, he's not even a trader. He just managed funds, and it was such a great study because he says, wow, you know, he had the opportunity of examining what success is in these managers, and he nailed it. And you know,
yeah, it makes sense. You don't know the execution, and if it goes down, you got two choices: liquidate or add to your position. You know, you got A or B. What do you want to do? You know, if you're not doing either, you're an idiot. So you're going to write it down, and I've wrote them down. You know, it's going to turn around. You'll see.
Oh gosh, it's just almost it's just this. I've listened to some of these ex-RP Army guys, and they're just crazy. They're I don't know how far can you write it down, guys? Good luck.
Well, you know, being in the military has its own hurdles. When you get out, it's a form of brainwashing, and I was involved with a guy in Vegas for an entertainment venue, and he was so arrogant and so stuck that he was the leader, and he had to do it all himself. That, you know, he crashed the company, and it shouldn't have, all because of his arrogance. You know, and it's like, what do you do with somebody like that? You know.
Yeah, not knowing that you don't know is a very important thing to learn, and the older you get, the more you learn it. So,
no, I know. I've lost millions. You know, I've made millions and lost millions. So it's not, you know, I look at money a little differently than a lot of people, and I don't need all of it to survive. It's just nice if you have it. But right. I look at it for my kids too. I'm trying to leave a legacy to not give them money because they'll self-destruct, but teach them how to earn it. The Christian method, where you teach them how to fish. And these are kind of dangerous waters if you're a rookie going into this post-COVID world, because now they've got a population, a world brainwashed into compliance. You will wear your mask, you will do this, you will take your vaccination, and we'll track you on your phone. I'm not hip on that, but that's just the world we live in. And it will be worldwide. You know, I get it. I can see it. Don't like it. Don't think it's just or righteous at all, but it's where you find yourself, you know.
Yeah, and I've got 3 grown sons who are adults with children and actually grandchildren. So, and they, you know, they've learned. Age does give you a good and different perspective. Then I have, you know, another family. They're all, you know, teenagers. I got one, you know, 9-year-old, and that's different. That's a child. But others that are, you know, in their teenagers in the late 20s, and boy, they're so smart, and I'm so stupid. So, and I was the same way.
Oh yeah, I was smart when I'm doing wheelies on my motorcycle past the sheriff. Yeah, I was smart as well. And it all figured out.
Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't discover a motorcycle until I was like 53 years old, and so that's what because it's all I could afford, and just got on it. The first time I got on a motorcycle, I did a wheelie through the intersection. So that's how I learned.
Yeah, unintentional. Those are scary. Now, I've been an off-road guy for a long time.
I graduated this last year. I found the you know, the razors, and now this is it.
Those things are a hoot. I'm telling you, I got those, and I had 40 acres in Oregon. I made a racetrack on my property, and I had an excavator, so I made jumps. And yeah, I used to romp those things around like crazy. I'm a semi-pro race car driver too. So.
Oh really? Oh man, you need to come down here.
So it's a hoot, man. I can keep up just about anybody on them things.
Oh man, yeah. Well, maybe you can figure out. I know other people are coming. I know Tone's going to come down here sometime. Like I have to keep it because we can't take everybody. But yeah, if you're a semi-pro race driver, we could learn some lessons.
Yeah, I rode sports cars like on the Corvette kind of stuff on the road racetracks, but it's all the same thing. I mean, when you're going fast, there's a way to drive so you stay on the intended part.
Yeah, I had a 650 KLR 650 down here in Mexico, and that's the way to go because I actually went through over a manhole cover without the manhole, which can happen down here in Mexico.
Oh yeah, Mexico.
And I thought, man, I'm dead. I just was imagining myself, being a hamburger. Well, I was dressed. I mean, if something happened, but that old KLR 60 went over that manhole like it wasn't even there. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I used to own a 650 Honda, and then I switched to the 450Rs, the high-strung 4-strokes. They're awesome bikes, and their suspension is just if you get adjusted for your body weight and your riding style, it's awesome. I mean, that's just a hoot. And I've got 2 razors right now sitting in Vegas. One set up for the desert.
Oh yeah. So is there a place to go in Vegas?
Oh shit, man. It's all desert out there. Tons of wide open spaces. Oh yeah. Vegas is tons of it. California, outside LA, all the stuff down there. And then I used to run up north by Palmdale, Lancaster. Tons of places out there as far as you want to drive. I mean, it's like.
All right. Well, I didn't know that. I thought they had all kinds of restrictions. I know, we're down here in the Baja and they.
Oh yeah, I know.
So it's a different world down here. It's just,
No, I understand that world a little bit. I mean, and I'm not opposed to it. So maybe some food for thought on back to your trading and your advancement of your business, which is, I think you're on solid ground. Trying to tell people to keep small and don't stress over the market, don't over trade it, and use your leverage on a small amount to build your net worth. In being a U.S. resident, like a lot of your customers might end up being, we're in that same boat. So maybe some direction on trading the markets that we do have available, or I know you can't give legal advice, but support in them forming corporations where they can be in compliant. I formed corporations too in alternate states to, have my income in non-state taxable states like Nevada. So if you earn $1 million a year, you're in California, you owe them $100,000 in taxes to piss away, or I can go to Nevada and pay none of that and just pay my federal tax obligation.
Mexican resident. I am not a member of. I'm not a resident of any state right now, and haven't been for years. For that reason, I still have to pay my federal taxes and everything. But
I don't mind paying my tax and whatever that is, because one thing an accountant told me a long time ago: if you're paying tax, if you're paying a lot of tax, you're making a lot of money. So, and just you're only paying off off the gain side, and if you lose, you stack that up against your gains in the future, and you offset those. So, I get the whole thing, but being new to futures and with limited choices here in the States. Maybe you could do a show one time about,
Yeah, I really need to talk to people who found that we're looking at that because, like, now Victor's the equity app that he does is only for BitMex.
That's right, and I can't use it, so it does me no value. I can see your trades, but I can't copy your futures trades so I got a method B or C, and I'm still kind of new to the.
Well, you shouldn't copy them anyway because you'll get wrecked. But
I got it.
What about GBTC or Grayscale? Are those options you guys have looked at?
Yeah, I can look right now if you can futures Grayscale, which is the BTC, GBTC, and then they also do an Ethereum and a Litecoin.
But is there any?
There's also CME. Like the CME has Bitcoin futures.
Yeah, they're not 24 hours you can get trapped really bad in that.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, they're
exactly.
not going to be as good as BitMex, that's for sure. But at least there's a place you can trade them, right?
Get some leverage going, and you know, again, if you do it right, the entry isn't as important as what you do after you get in and where it goes. And if it goes against you, you don't write it down. And if it goes against you, you add your position or sell on the way up. You do your goat stops instead of just stop orders where we get jacked. So just looking for some ways that us people bound by the states can get involved in leverage trading. That even if we make less, like you guys pull out, let's just say 20x because of leverage. If I can pull out 5x and keep my position small, that's still attractive. I don't care. I don't you don't have to maximize it, but if that's what you can do with what you got, you just get good at it. Right. So I don't know. I guess I could hop on here in one of my trading accounts and see.
Yeah, he can share if he wants to share.
Yeah, I can share. Can you share? Let me put on a new hat. I had to go take my little pee break, guys. Yeah. So, Craig, what exchange, since you are trading in the U.S., what do you find now is the best exchange? I mean, I used to trade on Kraken. I think I still have maybe a small balance. I used to trade on most of the exchanges, and I just stopped because I don't need to anymore. And I used to do a lot of arbitrage between the exchanges but I just
that's a whole nother world. That's a futures world that you came from, I guess. But
yeah, and I didn't start in futures. When I started trading Bitcoin, I did spot only, but I could still arbitrage. It worked. But even the exchanges, I had to sue Coinbase shut me down. And because I thought I was starting a business, I was so proud of myself. Oh, they'll build business together. And as soon as I said what I was doing, they just shut me down.
Well, Coinbase isn't the best. I mean, the Coinbase retail side is extremely expensive. The Coinbase Pro is limited and still expensive compared to the other ones. I was on Binance, but Binance shut my account off as soon as the Fed start threatening their exchange. So they have Binance US, which is a bullshit. It's just a fraction of the other one. So.
Oh, really? I didn't know they started a Binance US now. Gee whiz.
They had to. I mean, they had a big function of their people were US people. So, the US just wants everything regulated for control and taxation. So right now I'm just using Coinbase Pro, which is I'm just following the swings and stepping in and out a little bit and just waiting for the, just ride them when they go up. And if they do big corrections, try to, not ride it all the way down. It's like, that old stuff, but I can't use the full benefits of your trading style and style from others on just a spot.
Well, that'll probably be one of the projects that we can work on this year is trying to figure out, because I do know, BitMex, and I just hope they survive this thing. And
right, because they cannot be around, coming forward, because you don't have to be doing something wrong to get taken out.
No, and they would be shut down now if the U.S. government had the ability to shut them down and close that web they're trading. They would have already done it. The thing is that BitMex and the founder, they're smart enough. They played the game. Only one of them is in custody, and the other two are out on the lam. And guys, we got to support these guys that are out on the lam. I mean, one encouraging sign is I forgot the name of the fellow that they had in custody. He did get out on a very strict bail. He's not locked up anymore, but I'm sure he's on some kind of house arrest. And so that's encouraging. That's a good sign. And hopefully some kind of deal will be made. But I also we need to get behind these guys and Arthur, because they are the tip of the spear now, and hopefully they have the balls that they're not going to, they might play ball with you for the U.S. only, but the rest of the world, no. I just don't know how they're going to work it out. But
yeah, it's a moving target.
And what the thing is that the U.S. I mean, if you're a U.S. citizen, you just need to be up in arms over it. I mean, we're supposed to be the home of the brave, land of the free, and home of the brave, and we're now the the land of the enslaved and the home of cowards. And
I got it. When they've convinced the entire population to not go to work, to stay home and wear a mask when you go outside, that is a form of brainwashing that that's a socialist dream condition that they're able to pull off. A manipulated election and a safety concern, a pandemic turned into a safety concern used entirely for manipulation, and the numbers it's incredible to see it before my eyes how people are so easily manipulated. And I've studied some of the stuff for a while with the Russians doing it. They call it the Hegelian dialect, where they can manipulate people under stress to have false memories or change their core beliefs or change their thoughts. So the ideas get implanted in them under stressful conditions. And I see this behavior going on now with these communists. They all stick together. It's a Marxist, socialist, whatever you want to call it, agenda in the U.S. And I personally,
it's a Hegelian cult.
What's that? Yeah, it's interesting. I watched the guy. There was a guy named.
It's a Hegelian cult. It's a Hegel's their god. Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, it's a form of mental manipulation. It's a human condition that can be exploited to manipulate people without their knowledge or even doing it. And they'll defend the manipulation like it's their own thoughts. It's really quite disturbing when you discover it. But I can see what's going on here in the U.S. and it's. I ever talk to my kids, we may have to find another country to live in, but where do you go?
Yeah. Well, they're going to just be isolated. There's going to be isolated spots within.
The problem with finding another country to live in is that eventually they'll reach you, and then, and then what? You got to move again, right?
No, I think it's not that.
You just got to entrench yourself and try to hold ground. The question is where.
Juan, it's not if they're going to find you because, they'll take their pound of flesh or your money or whatever, but it's more like then you're subject to a new set of rules. Then I'm subject to the rules of Mexico, or I'm subject to the rules of, down south in Costa Rica. A lot of people think they're going to escape the U.S. and be expats in Costa Rica or Panama, or they'll go to Australia or New Zealand. They all got their own rules. They got their own little things you got to figure out, and they want your money too.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, Mexico's that's their own thing, and I'm figuring them out. I'm learning all the time down here. It's different. It's not near what it is. It's just different. And one of the reasons they're open is because Mexicans do figure out how to work around whatever's imposed on them, and it's just they're very, very adapted to that. And
yeah, but it's a state. It's a welfare state. I mean, a lot of people in Mexico, you drive through TJ, all the buildings are undone. Why is all the construction undone? Oh, if you finish it, you get taxed. So it's always undone. We don't avoid taxation. I don't want my house finished. I don't care what it looks like. I don't get taxed. Okay, right.
I didn't realize it was that. That's what it is. Okay, I didn't realize it's finished. I guess I'm going to have to unfinish my houses here.
Well, that's why they got rebar sticking out of them all.
All right.
Everything's got our second, third story, fourth story going on someday, but
we're not done yet. So
the rebar's sticking out the roof. Why is it sticking out the roof? Well, it's not finished.
No, I get it. It's just like, oh yeah, they figure out ways to get around it. That's what they do, and they've learned that because during Prohibition, Mexico boomed. Everybody come across the border to drink.
You adapt to whatever your conditions are. That's all. I mean, the Mexican people. I'm in California. I was born in California. You think I understand Mexico? Of course, they come and go. I mean, I as a contractor, I hired a lot of guys, and they're very industrious. And I'm surprised they're socialist. the only reason they vote for these Democrats is because they give them, you know, you can get a free, you know, the health care, you get rent subsidies, you can get food subsidies sometimes, you get the education. So they vote for them for the specific reasons, but they don't believe in the philosophy. They're hardworking people that they're Christian based, you know.
Like they have the medicine is socialized, but then there's a whole, the doctors all work for the government, but then they have their private practice, you know. And the same thing with like we had Ernesto on, he's got this beautiful gym, you know, but and they've closed it down, but his parents also teach physical ed at the government school. So, you know, it is you have a dual existence there, and you have this underground economy that
huge underground economy for sure.
That booms, and you have the and you know, that's when I came down here. I wanted, oh no, you can't do that. If you do that, here's what I go, what? And so
no, you'll stick out. You'll stick out, and they'll come. Yeah. You know, there's a criminal element that can kidnap people and extort them for money. If you show you've got too much worth, you become a target.
Yeah.
So
I
side of that.
I don't hire anybody. They have to have their hacienda and contract with me. It's the only way that I've learned, and and they have encouraged that too. They do now. If you start your own business, they exempt, I think the first, for 5 years, they exempt like your first 5 million pesos. So you get an exemption by starting a hacienda. So, you know, there is
I wouldn't mind that.
A growing free market element growing down here. If it takes hold like a groundswell, I think one of the biggest things that's going to help is Bitso is probably one of the best exchanges in the world, very top notch. I mean, it's not in the league. They do trade some of their shit coins and so forth, but they're compliant down here. But they are becoming more and more of a force, you know, through what they're doing. And so, you know, all you can do is encourage that. That's all we can do. And that's why I encourage BitMex. I mean, it's not just because it's a platform I've made money from.
No, you see it as a valuable tool and asset, and not just an exploitation thing that you can trade, and they take your the delta, I forget what you call it, the spread. They get you on the spread. They get you on the premiums if they charge premiums in there. They get you if you're a market taker, not a maker. You know, I get
it's all peer-to-peer on BitMex,
right? I mean, so why do they need a spot? Why do they need a spread price? Well, that's where the exchange rips your money out.
There's no spread on BitMex, particularly in that per contract, and the funding goes peer-to-peer. They're not taking the funding for themselves or anything like that. So it's just an incredible advancement that, you know, really very few people understand. And I was hoping to get you know, I know Max Kaiser, who I respect a lot, but he talked about, well, we know now about some shady stuff that BitMex has done, and I'm really trying to approach him privately because I want to know what it is. I don't see anything that they've done. I know people have accused them, and then I go and look at those things, and that's just not true. I have no evidence at all, quite the contrary, of any front running. That if they admit they trade on the exchange, Arthur says, but he's providing liquidity, it's not jumping in front of you. All of these other exchanges that make a market, they're bucket shops. They are creating the market. There's a spread. Yeah. And I've had so many orders where I'm selling the peak or buying the spike, whatever it is, and I get a partial fill. And I'm always, when it comes back there, I'm always the first one filled. So nobody jumped in front of me. If every time I put an order where there's no other order, nobody else is there at that price, I'm always the first one filled.
Well, so that's honest trading. I mean, that, like you said,
there's no front running. I've never found any example of front running. It's an awesome exchange and very honest. And they've gotten caught on some of these manipulations on the other exchanges that's affected their index, and they've actually made good on it.
Well, if you catch them, but you know, like look at the exchanges in America, all these you know, just hundreds of them, whatever, all of them are, but you know, they put their friends in the front row. They put themselves in the front row, you know, and they don't complete shares and like, well, it just wasn't a market. And there's, you know, a million open interest in your zone and they can't fill your order, you know, or they just fill it on paper and they don't actually buy the stock. You know, they take your money, they have an obligation to you, and then they spend their money elsewhere.
Yeah, well, I mean, I haven't traded on Kraken for years, but I had a number of occasions where the market would actually go through my orders and not get filled. Well, how can that happen?
You know? Well, exactly, because it's only at a specific price.
It happens on American futures markets, and they just call it fast. Well, it's too fast. And they had different sections of the pit, but now that's all electronic. It should never happen.
Right.
It could happen during the floor trading days. I understood that. But now it doesn't. The technology is there, and it doesn't on BitMex. And I say, so show me if you think that they've done anything. I'm open to show me, but all the evidence I have is to the contrary. You know, and I do understand markets to a far better degree than most people. Not perfect.
Yes, you seem to have a very in-depth knowledge, like, you know.
I do know how markets work, how they operate. I mean, I was trained through the fundamentals. I had to pass all this. I was registered commodities futures broker. I passed the Series 7.
Yeah, Series 7 is not a joke.
No, it's not a joke. It's not easy. And so that was way back when. I don't have any of that now and don't need it. But that's
right. Who needs it when you can manage yourself, and that's what you're bringing to the world. The only thing that's hard for the non-traders is to catch on to your style and the way you're presenting. I get it. I can follow you, but I think some people that are non-professionals, non-experienced traders have a little catch up to do.
And that's the most difficult thing, is making difficult concepts easy. And that's the obstacle we're always trying to overcome with Bitcoin. Juan has a vision that he's trying to make security simple. That's not easy, and
no.
It's not something that's on the top of everybody's list. It's on because the last thing you worry about. I mean, you only worry about security after the fact.
Yeah, when you're done and your stuff's been stolen. I need some better security. Well, that's the thing that, okay, here, let me give you one example.
Yeah.
Like in the US or in the world, you could have bought, if you had the insight, you could have bought like a Tesla that went up 700% for the year. Bitcoin went up 330% for the year. You didn't have to get involved in some, hardware wallet and learn some double key, 28 encryption protocol and send it over, and have antivirus software and play all this gymnastics. For a lot of people, they're not computer savvy, and it just baffles them, and they don't want to get involved in it. But you can just buy, some few shares, just skyrocket, and you can use the same technique. So, it's all about wealth creation. With wealth comes hopefully some insight and support for the goodness of the world, and not just more consumer items. Hopefully you do something good with your wealth besides just buy a bigger yacht.
Yeah, and exchange risk just doesn't sink in until you've been victimized by it. I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, I've had people I keep warned, don't keep your hodl on Coinbase, and they just still do, and it's convenient.
I only keep it there if I'm trading it, and if you're not trading it, get it off of there, put it back in your wallet.
Yeah, and but you teach that, and it's just hard to get through. It's hard because they don't get it, and it's kind of like the same thing. I mean, as long as the world holds together, you'll be okay, but that's not why you have Bitcoin. And so it's a different thing. And the same thing, I mean, Tesla stock the same way. If we close down, the biggest, and this is what I wasn't convinced of this until this year, but with the COVID bailout, I now think the most vulnerable assets are people's retirement funds.
They could be attached. They've done it in foreign countries. They did it in Greece. They just decided the country, for the benefit of the country, we're going to have to steal your retirement. You know, like, excuse me.
Yeah, no, and it's there, and they've just demonstrated if they can, you know, add to your legacy accounts at the stroke of a whim, they can do the same thing, and they're not going to warn you about it. Folks.
No, they're not. They do it, and all of a sudden everybody's like that. There was a sellout in one of the banks that was involved with Fannie and Freddie during the real estate bubble that was caused by the Democrats and Bill Clinton allowing anybody to get a loan if they could pay it back or not. And first the banks objected, and then they realized how much money was in it, and then they sold it like it was free money. And all of a sudden it backlashed on them. And, you know, I was guilty too. I had 26 properties at the time, and they were rentals because you only can live in one, and poof, you know, I had I think 30 foreclosures on my record. So I had to be a cash buyer, you know. But, you know, I went from broke.
Caught in this COVID, I guess there were a lot of people that were on Airbnb, and they were buying this real estate and renting them out on Airbnb, and all of a sudden, you know, Airbnb imploded, and they, you know.
Me too. I was down here in Florida. That's what I did. I had 10 units, three threeplexes, and one was a 4. And then I had a weird thing happen. I got in a beef with my girlfriend, ended up going to jail for the first time in my life. So I can relate with your deal. In COVID,
or for something like that, I'm going to take it. Okay.
All my guests left, and all my bookings canceled, and I had mortgage payments. And so I got out in May. Didn't think about the markets because I was too busy just doing personal assessment. Decided to sell my property. Everybody's moving out of New York. They bought all 3 of my properties for a profit. And I was able to get out of my Airbnbs. And then here we have a second wave of the COVID. So yeah, I mean, long run, the Airbnb can be a good model. But it's risky to hold these big real estate assets and then, you know, want to rent them out at a margin. You know, that's arbitrage. You know,
right.
Some of the guys lease the property and sub-rent it. And that's really arbitrage.
Oh yeah, no, I get it. Now that's they did it. So you know, you want to own your house, guys. If you want to be safe, that house isn't yours unless you've got the title and it's unencumbered.
Not your keys, not your coin.
Yeah, not your house without the title, and even then, you're still up to the legal. The thing about Bitcoin, it's even hard. It's a lot harder to get a hold of. Your house is still vulnerable, no matter.
No,
what.
you've got a title to it. They, you know, a deed of record. They can go and lien your title to your home.
Yeah.
In certain cases, they try not to, but yeah, they destroy it. I think the whole financial system destroys it differently. They just bleed off your money, or they overtrade your account. You know, I had a couple million with Wells Fargo's advisors, private client services, and they were coming back at 4%, 3%. And I'm like, is this all you guys can do? You know, and I finally yanked the money, and I put some of it in that Vegas entertainment venue, and then he went belly up. COVID. It was a first person entertainment venue where you walk through combat simulation with a bunch of Rangers and SEALs. And the problem is the guy was arrogant, and then COVID hit. And then when COVID hit, you couldn't have personal contact. You know, he had a $40,000 a month lease on the building, commercial building, to run this out of. 40 grand a month. And when your income goes to zero, and your business, you know, and nobody's in Vegas, nobody's going to hotels, nobody's eating at the restaurants, you know, it impacted everybody. And then the government, you know, overreached and kept the shutdown going. So
yeah, which is another lesson, guys. You don't need to be the richest guy in the cemetery. The people that are surviving, for example, you know, Ernesto's family, they own their building, and the people that, if you're renting your building, you're just not going to, you know, the barbershops here that people were renting, first of all, they're in a major shopping center. They're targets for the heavy regulation. Or if you just have a little hole in the wall barber shop, You can open or close at will.
Yeah, keep it small. That's like you're doing with your trading.
You're not the target, and you're gonna do okay. And the same thing with all of the restaurants that I eat at regularly. The little birria stand, and we got 3 really great taco stands within a block of it, or 2 blocks.
Right.
And they're
where you guys at? Ensenada?
Huh? Yeah.
Where you guys in Ensenada?
Yeah, I'm in Ensenada.
Yeah, I know that Rosarita down there, and one of the contractors I work with started a hotel down there called the Giggling Marlin down in Baja at the tip, and he did pretty well, and then built some mansions for America. But that was back in the 80s. He started building these mansions, and he did pretty well. I'm sure he's done well.
I see it just booming down here. I think people are just and it's so much freer, and the attitude just much better. We are in the middle of the epidemic, but I mean, we have the hospitals are full. People are genuinely sick. I have the COVID. I'm getting over it. My wife was very seriously ill, but we got all the right medications. We had a great doctor. So you do take precautions. It's real. I generally have it. I generally am sick, but it's not anything close. I've been much sicker from other flus and other.
Yeah, it's a flu. It's a strain of the flu.
You were around in '69. Was that the Hong Kong flu? I was in college at the time. The whole dorm was locked down, and I
graduated '77. I was born in '59, so I was 10 years old in '69.
Yeah, I was born in '40. You sound like you're 30 years old. Instead,
I just got a young voice and a young mind.
Well, that's good, man. That's great. So.
Now I was around. I saw the whole '60s generation. The freedom and free love in Vietnam, and I was there during the whole thing, and I saw our country turn then. And the people that wanted freedom and choice are now taking away your freedom and choices. The same people that were there, that revolution was just like, Che Guevara, Marxist revolution, but it was disguised as, it's just free choice, and people would just want to get along with free love. Didn't work out that way, did it?
No, certainly didn't. So yeah, I need to do an article on that sometime, because back then I think there was, we were in that the most ridiculous war that we've ever been in.
Yeah, that was an insane war. I mean, planning on that for what?
The true people with courage did everything they could to avoid the draft, and that's why I say I did. And Don, I know as soon as they stopped the draft, I volunteered, and they wouldn't take me.
Well, they're winding it up. I mean, I was there when they stopped the draft. I was just actually in high school, and I just saw the whole news, body counts every night, and all this stuff, and painting our soldiers as going into villages and killing innocent children and women, and they've been using that tactic for a while. But I think Vietnam was one. It wasn't something that deserved the intensity it got, and then two, the Democrats tied the hands of our military and wouldn't allow them to just go in there and take care of it.
No, you can't. A war is war. There's no such thing as a halfway war. You can't. It's like
we've had every war has been a halfway war except World War II.
Let's play football, but your team can't go across the 50-yard line. Back and see how that winds up at the end of the day. I mean, the war winded up. They won every battle and lost the war. Guys, there was a strategic problem there.
Oh yeah, no, that was ridiculousness, and it's for the
now. I mean, they deliberately drafted the young and ignorant, for cannon fodder, and that's what McNamara did, and that was a war crime, guys. A draft is a war crime. It's warning about even.
It wasn't necessary. We weren't protecting our sovereignty. We weren't doing anything of that kind of value. At the end of it all, when we left abruptly, what happened? More, genocide began.
Samuel warned his people, you want a king, this is what's going to happen to you. And that's what happens when you want, when you give up your sovereignty, or actually it's not a personal sovereignty. As a Christian, it's divine sovereignty, that who's really in control, and who is the ultimate government. And so I think we've lost that a long time ago.
Yeah, I agree. But lucky I found you, and I connected to your style, and your underlying message is just just don't overtrade it. Take some of your money. Don't expose your whole nest egg. Take some, be fun and have fun with it, and get in and out of these trades.
You know what? You're not going to change the world. You can change the little parts that you're around, and that's about it.
That's it. That's all you can do. And it starts with your family.
This whole, and that's the view. That's the problem with the COVID view. These people, we've lost this view. It was impossible for people to think this way 50 years ago, even maybe 20 years ago. When we had the flu epidemic, and my father almost died from the influenza in 1918. We had people before that. We had high infant mortality, but people had an eternal concept. They said, you know what? This life is a journey. We're on a journey. It's not everything. But you know what? If you've lost that, if this is all there is, guys, I get it. I'd be scared to death.
Well, you're a Christian. You understand there's a bigger concept to the world, and it's not just filling your pockets. Money only gets you so far, but it's the grace you give others, throughout your walk, throughout your journey. And the challenges we go through and how we respond to them. We all get challenges.
And that's what it is in trading, guys. Really, that's what I teach. It's not where the market is going, but how you respond to what's going out there. It's kind of, it's very consistent. It's very consistent.
No, it's a mental game for sure. I get tangled up in it, and I'm like, okay, back up.
Oh yeah, the ego comes in. I'm so smart because look what
I'm a genius.
Yeah. And you know what? Look what I did this last month. I lost my ass trading this.
Well, there is no magic bean. There's no entry point, and nobody knows. And the best quote I got from you is that nobody knows where the market goes. And every time I'm thinking, I look at these charts, I'm like, oh, that's a winner for sure. Nobody knows where that chart's going, buddy. And just trade accordingly,
Trade accordingly. Yeah, the biggest mistake you can make is say, oh, I know what's going to happen. And then you're right, and it just reinforces the bad thought.
No, I know a lot of people got those stories where they made a bunch of money. My stepson at the time took 10 grand and made 150 grand, and he was a genius.
Oh, yeah.
Until it raced out, and he ended up with less than he started. He ended up with nothing, and he closed his account for him. Yeah, and that's what happened there. So then he hasn't traded since because you got burned. First, you're a genius. Then you got burned.
Genius fault because the market didn't do what I wanted it to do.
Yeah, no, neither one is right. You're not an idiot and you're not a genius. You just it's a psychological game, and you gotta adjust to the rules that adapt to what it is, and don't go down these fake roads in your mind that you understand it. Just trade, get in. And just respond when it goes that direction or this direction, and just hold on and let it ride on, and don't be too anxious to overtrade it.
Yeah, guys. If you're new on this too, I want to emphasize, Greg is, he's an entrepreneur. He's obviously successful in life. You don't need my service if you're just starting out. Just do. I think Greg and I both say the same thing. You know what? We're teaching our children. Just create that hollow. Get through that. Most of my content is free. You'll know when you're ready to trade, and that's when you're comfortable with your hodl. Say, you know what? Okay, I can now afford to risk 5. Tone said 10%. I would say 5%. Never risk more than 5% of your hodl, and that also means if you trade and you lose that 5%, next time you go in, you decrease your amount of trading. And this is what I'm going to do this year. I'm got 0.3 on that account, I might blow it out tomorrow. I don't know, but I got to get mentally aware of just trading that little bit of amount and see what can be done, because it can be done. But I don't want to be focusing on trading. I want to focus on all of you guys around me right now that, you know, they're looking for guidance. They have their own visions. You know, we're going to have to, I don't know what's lying ahead, but we're going to have to come up with some major solutions, and they're going to be solutions that simply are going to be completely different and radically different from what they've been in the past. And it certainly is not going to involve, you know, government or government bailouts, quite the contrary. So, I mean, if you're big on freedom and free enterprise, and we're going to have to fight for that, and probably on a different level, because I don't know that you can. I hope that you do, but I don't know if the U.S. can pull out of this one. What do you think, Greg?
It's going to be a different U.S. The end of 220 has put a mindset in people that they're accepting the removal of rights. So it'll pull out of it. It'll be a centralized place still. But I personally think they're going to make a one world order, and they want to lift up all the impoverished countries to turn them into consumers like America. And they want the whole world of basically indentured servants to be consumers of the things they create. And China is the perfect example of a communist capitalist combination. And I think that's where America's going with the help of Google and AI and all this face recognition. I think the US is going to go on the China model. You're productive, you're allowed to earn so much, and the government and those at top get to take the majority of it, and you're allowed to get on the hamster wheel and create some crumbs. But it's still a life. They don't want you dead. They just want you to be a consumer and want you to generate. Like the Matrix, you're a battery. You know, you're putting energy in the system, but you're captive. I think that's what, to me, I see America taking the China model, a less restrictive version of it. So you'll still be allowed to make money. You'll still be allowed to have a home, a car, a boat, you know, go on vacation. But you just have to work harder, and you have to get paid more because the dollar is devaluating. So, but having its own independent currency like Bitcoin is a game changer. Like I said, it's a future that's not subject to manipulation of so far of any monetary system around the world.
Okay.
So I'm a fan.
Well, man, thanks for coming on. I want to invite any of the other members. We do one of the things that the members do is I've kind of opened this up because you guys know our collective wisdom is a whole lot better than my little bit of knowledge. And a lot of you guys have been tremendous successes in life. And so you're invited to, on our Telegram group, there is the Zoom channel there. You can come in, and if you have anything, words of wisdom you want to pass on, I would certainly welcome them. You know, hopefully this will be a place for guidance. And, you know, we want to build up more content. And, you know, but it's not going to be up to me. I feel like I keep referring back to when people ask me about this, well, I've already written about this, and I send them back to another article. So I kind of do feel like, and the intention was to build precept upon precept. You start out with, you know, basic premises, and then you build on that, you know, one precept and one concept at a time. And that's what a foundation is built on. And then after a while, the problem with that is eventually you forget that foundation. It's kind of like the gold standard. People, they were so blessed with this gold standard that actually honest bankers created, and it became it became almost forgotten and taken for granted. And so the first thing, well, let's make it better and we'll nationalize it. You know, well, now we've nationalized it, we need to make everything fair. So let's tax income, you know. Well, that's still not fair because, you know, we still have poor people in the world. So let's create Social Security. And then we say, well, yeah, we want to give people all this freedom, but they can't really handle it. So we need to regulate it. So we create the SEC. So, and that's what my merit taught me. So look, just keep it simple. The three greatest swindles out there isn't various companies. I'm not even the ICOs and all the shitcoins and all that, but it is inflation, which is done by governments, but it's also being done by private companies now. It's the Social Security, the idea that the state is going to make you secure in life. And third, that somehow regulating private activity is going to benefit the world. And those are three great swindles and frauds that are perpetrated on all of us. And it doesn't mean those frauds are going to be completely eliminated, but hopefully we'll be able to build a new foundation. And I guess then the corruption just starts all over again. I don't know. So.
Amen, brother.
Yeah. So, all right. Great group, huh? Okay, that's what we have here. We're going to trade. Well, it's like I'm going to have to do something about Dingleberry trading. I just mentioned that once, and I noticed some of our followers have started to have actually picked up on that. But that's kind of what trading is about. Since we don't know where the market's going, we're just kind of trading out of our asses and picking dingleberries. So, and it's hard to conceive that that's what it's kind of about. That money management is not knowing where the market is going, and there's no magic beans. We don't know. It's because of the uncertainty. In fact, it's because of the uncertainty that they create futures exchanges, so commercial interests can pass on risk, and that is something as hodlers we will be doing time and again. And what I don't want to do is make this conception that, well, ugly old goat, he took $7,000 or point and turn it into 1.4 million. Well, measured at the end of the year, I did, but I was selling all the way up. I took, basically 1.2 billion Bitcoin was the max I had in it, which was, about maybe $7,000, less than $7,000 for the year. And I have taken off 47 Bitcoin, but I've had expenses along the way, guys. I didn't hodl 47 Bitcoin. It's just, that's not the way it works. There's an ebb and flow in business, and Greg has described that time and again. And you've come close to, sounds like you've been like a lot of entrepreneurs, you've come close to ruin more than once. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I have. I've been, flush and lean, whatever you want to describe it, multimillionaire and zeroed out, have more debts.
Yeah, and then you learn to eat beans and rice, and you also, and that's really important to keep that overhead low, guys. It's one of the biggest successes in business. It's consistently get through the booms and the busts. Is you just cannot build a large overhead. I mean, I have guys that want to come work for us now, and my guys, oh yeah, we're gonna. I said, wait a minute, I'm paying for this. I'm not hiring anybody. We got to make this go on our own. We got to get this thing going. I'm not building my overhead, and and it's just a mistake everybody makes. And they think, I got the same problem with my beautiful wife and everybody. You've got to just when you lost it and you learn how to make it, you realize how precious that is, and it's not easy. But everybody else is looking at you. Oh, look at ugly. He's got it made. You got the wrong concept, guys. If you think if you don't think it's a lot of work, look, I do everything in life full speed. I work my ass off. I play hard. I drink hard. And that's just, I have a feeling, Greg, you're kind of a lot like me in that regard.
Yeah, well, I've owned fast things, fast women, fast cars, fast boats. Do a little, partying on the weekends, whatever, but, you try to keep in check, One thing I can add to that is in America, they've trained us to live off your income. And if you make $100,000 a year, you'll buy the house that you can afford, the car, you'll lease the car, purchase the car on time. You know, you'll get a second home. You know, you'll get the kids in this. You know, everything's leveraged out. And if there's a downturn, you get creamed, you get wrecked, and you get ruined. Sorry,
ruined. We don't mind getting wrecked. Okay, we can laugh at that, but I don't want to get ruined. I've been ruined before, guys. I did 11 years in prison. I don't want to do that. I got the ultimate ruin test.
Yeah, it's a life-changing event, but you've come through it. I spent a short stint in jail, not in prison, but it's the same situation. People don't get healed for the most part in there, and you're the example that came out and shook it off and got back to life, because a lot of people don't. But one thing is, going back to the finances, leverage belongs on things that make you money, not in depreciating assets. A home is a depreciating asset. It is to a point, but it appreciates underneath if the market goes in your favor. But if the market doesn't, you're paying more for that home. It's a peace of mind, but you know, that's the one investment you should have paid off. But other than that, if you lease or purchase your cars over time, you know, our cell phones, all these expenses, you know, if you make $500,000, you spend $500,000. If you make $1 million, you spend $1 million. They don't always save as much, and your saving isn't really saving at, you know, 2%, 1%, and then your inflation at 3%, and then the other factors, you know, like you're 10 or 15% upside down, like you said. And I fully agree that you should be only leveraging and borrowing money on things that are going up and they're increasing in value, like a business, like an appreciating asset, like these.
And that is one of the secrets of my success when I got out of prison. I did know how to handle credit, and because I was amazed at how quickly I was able to reestablish credit. But I live frugally. I mean, I live really frugally, and that's hard in Southern California, but that's where I was at, and still live frugally. But I acquired the credit and the debt that they gave me. I didn't buy TV sets. I didn't buy furniture. I furnished my house from what other people were throwing away on the streets. And same with the TV set. My car was just an old beater, dependable thing. I paid $1,000, drove it for years. But I did acquire debt, and it was buying equipment that, you know, was building my business that brought in income. And so, and that's the whole different ball game. And so, I mean, I was very thankful that was available. I mean, I tried my best to somehow trade because I had to do it off of credit card debt. And for a while in there was years where I could actually do it, almost have it interest free, because you could do these transfers from one. You know, that all ended.
That could be a Ponzi scheme too, and then you end up getting more because you're not paying interest
more
on
and
it.
More and more, and then they cut it off, you know, and so that's. I mean, I ran up as much as $150,000 in credit card debt, and even when it took me until 2016, 2016, I just had a really good year in my business. And because I didn't get cooperation, I met my wife, you know, after I had that debt. So she had no concept. Said, look, we forget everything else. We need to pay off these cards because I'm paying $1,000 a month or more just in interest. And I finally did it in spite of everything. And then it's just amazing how quickly you can grow from there when you're completely debt free. And it's a different way of thinking. And, you know, and yet you see kids all make the same mistake. I remember, you know, our daughter and her boy, first thing they did was they got a little bit of credit. They bought one of these Apple things because I bought one for their mother. So they loved it. And they bought it on credit. I know they never, whatever. They, you know, but what can you say? You got to go through and learn things like that. You have to learn to bite the bullet, and, you know, you have to bite the bullet today so you can benefit tomorrow. And that's what hodling is. And it's hard. I mean, you have to be disciplined to do it. And it's something that, you know, you just have to learn that we can tell you this till we're blue in the face, but you know, if you don't have eyes to see it, if you don't have ears to hear, there's no way we're going to get through to you. It just doesn't work that way. So if you're listening and you hear what we're saying, see what we're saying, avoid our mistakes and just kind of do it. It's not easy. We know it's not easy. So.
Well, you got a great thing you're sharing with the population at large, Ugly. I'll just shorten your name to Ugly. And an opportunity to change your life. I mean, this stuff, you know, I've been involved in sales for a long time. They always, some of these cats like Tika Tawari and these kind of cats get on there, and you know, he was selling Bitcoin when it was going to pop, and then he gave up on that, and he was selling weed, and now he's back on the Bitcoin when the Bitcoin's going. And if you sell a lifestyle, you're missing the point. Mm-hmm. You know, you're selling an opportunity. That's all you're doing. You're not even selling it. You're just putting it on the table, and you have to pay for good advice is paid for. You're giving them an opportunity to change your life. And it doesn't have to be in Bitcoin. You can still trade other things with the same mindset. It's not stuck on Bitcoin. Bitcoin's just the neutral, decentralized ground that you see as the future, and I personally see as the future. Being it's a world currency, and it is a gold. You know, yeah, it's flying all over the place, but sooner or later it'll stabilize at some higher level. But it's a ride up. If you write it properly, and it's an opportunity to change your life and to learn a new way of being. You know, take your hodl, you know, trade a portion of your account and leverage that into increasing worth with hard work and diligence, and get through your mistakes. Right?
Yeah, let me just say, I have my construction friend who built this house. He's going to do just fine because his investment is he's a talented man. He's a man of integrity. He's helping us with our new house now, you know, but I think he's learned the lesson. and that's what it takes sometimes. And you know, but I think what Bitcoin does is it helps you. If you don't have those good habits, it will help you to learn them more quickly. Or if you're flawed in your habits, it will point them out to you and correct. It can be a correcting mechanism. I don't know. Does that make sense to you? It kind of just keeps you on course, you know. Right. Did we lose you, Greg?
No, I'm still here, but I'm going to step off. So
okay,
it was nice getting a free conversation with you.
Looking for. I'm going to get up and take a little potty break. So I was waiting. Hopefully Juan was going to come back on, but thank you for coming on, man. I think it, you know, it's your life experiences that will help other people in this. And so the new guys that are watching this and are listening to guys like Greg, I mean, that he's here telling he doesn't need to be doing this. He doesn't need to get on and tell you this stuff, but he's been around the block, and the advice he's giving is very sound. And that's what and he doesn't have to get on here to do it. And I'm glad at the end, you know, that's one thing too. We respect the privacy here. If you want to tell your story, you don't have to say who you are, but we'd still like to have it. So, and if you decide you become a member with us, you know, all we need is an email address, whatever, and you can do this. And if you want, if you won't get the swag because we don't have your address or phone number or anything else, if you want to provide that, you know, hopefully we keep it secure. We do our best, but I don't think we're a target at least yet either. So these are the challenges that come up in these guys, and so we're just going to be here, hopefully providing a variety of clearinghouses. I don't have the solutions to this, and Greg. You know what? We don't even pretend to. We're retiring. We're done. Okay, we're here for you if you need our help.
All right, Ugly. Listen, thanks again for the opportunity, and hopefully the people that are watching your
man, I thank you. I loved it. So I loved it.
And we'll chat again. Happy trading.
You bet. We'll see you. Bye bye. That was good, man. That was really good. So, oh, here we are.
Yeah.